If you are applying to college and you want to know all the steps you need to take to totally crush your college applications, in this video, I'm going to jump in to fall semester, what you should be doing, how you should be calendaring things out, how much time should you allot for all of your essays, all that kind of good stuff. My name is Brooke. I've been coaching people through the college admissions process for 2 decades or so. I typically work with students who are high achievers looking to attend very competitive colleges. So sometimes that means top 20, sometimes top 50. I would say over half of my students are at least applying to top 10 colleges. So I get lots of students that are hyper competitive, trying to do their best and stand out. So I will say, caveat, all of my advice is with the idea that you're trying to make your applications the best they can be. If you're applying to schools with 89% admit rates, Arizona State University, you might not need to be as on top of all of your essays as I suggest in this video. So you can take that with a grain of salt. But in general, these are the steps that I recommend students map out and figure out when they're on this journey during the fall. So the first thing that I'm going to say, just because we're already mid-September when I'm releasing this video, but you could be watching this at any time, make sure by the first week of school, if possible, you ask 2 teachers plus your counselor for letters of recommendation. We have a whole video on letters of recommendation. Most of the time when you're applying to college, at least some of the schools you're going to be applying to will require or recommend letters of recommendation. So I recommend that you get that taken care of as soon as school starts, that you get your requests out there. Oftentimes schools will have a whole process for this. They'll make you fill out like an information form, etc. But that's my first caveat. If you haven't done that yet, get on that right away. Second tip is make a college list with deadlines. So we have a present for you, which is our college spreadsheet template. You can download this for free. SupertutorTV.com/free is our like big download this for free kind of website. So you can find the link there if you would like to get this. So you can see here, up here I have application priorities. So this is just like where I really want to go to college, right? Rec letters sent. So this is just tracking stuff for me. CSS sent, FAFSA sent. So I can track all of these dates and then application sent. So this is just tracking information for you so you can keep track of everything as you go. You can see here I have the names of the schools and I have Far Reach, Reach, and Fit. And you can customize this to your list, right, of what your Reach schools are. I also have this is obviously outdated because this is from 2020, but you can go ahead and look up all of this data so that you have it. You don't absolutely need all of this data. Obviously, it's more important that you're tracking whether you have sent your application and when things are due. You can put total tuition and fees, total cost of attendance with aid estimated. So you can do like a cost calculator at each of these schools with your parents or however you want to do it. So this is stuff that you can get started. And depending on how much, cost it matters to you, you can start to do this. Oftentimes my students' mom and dads will actually fill out this part for them if they're being supportive and they want to help out, just to get all that data in here. If you care about rankings, you can put that in there. Does it have coalition? Does it have Common App? Sometimes my students like to track this because Common App has a limit of 20 applications and some of my students want to apply to 25 schools. And so they're looking for a couple to throw into the coalition app, etc. When does the application open? And then if we have early action deadlines, regular deadlines, or wherever you're going to apply, single choice early action, and then you can fill these in, other important dates. The other thing that I put down here is essay Google Doc link. We're going to talk about making a Google Doc for all of your essay prompts in a few minutes. So that's another line that I've recently added in so that you can track all that. But if you track all this information, it's going to give you one organized place where all your college stuff is. The other thing that you need to do is once you kind of have all of this in, you need to start adding these dates to your calendar and sit down with all these dates and with all this information and add in, if you're going to apply to Stanford single choice early action, okay, I want to add that in my calendar November 1st, that needs to go on the calendar. And then we're going to work back from that to make sure that you have everything done on time, right? So start adding all these dates to the calendar. If you have other important dates, for example, if there's a arts supplement that's due, if there's a date by which you need to submit your SAT score from October, etc. Last test date, you can put that kind of stuff in here. And again, all of that also needs to go on your calendar. So remember, early action, early decision, restrictive early action, single choice early action. If you don't have your head wrapped around what all those words mean and how it works, I definitely recommend that you check out my videos on those topics. Applying early decision, if you have the ability to do so, if you don't have to compare financial aid offers, can be a really great way to increase your chances of admission at really competitive universities. And I talk about that in some of my other videos. I'm not going to get really deep into it, but if you need clarification on any of those terms, make sure you figure that out. And make sure you have your plan together in terms of where you're going to apply early action, regular decision, early decision, etc. And you've got that kind of all squared away in your college list. Okay, so that's kind of a big one. I recommend that you kind of try to get this together by the first 2 weeks of September. So that means right now, if you haven't done this yet, weekend project, it's a great time to do this. Hunker down for the weekend, get all this stuff done. Again, maybe you and mom can sit together and she can look up dates and you can type them in and get this stuff done and get it ready to go and put it in your calendar. Number 3. So once you have your list all ready and together, I want you to make a Google document with all of the essay prompts and short answer questions and hot takes, anything you have to type into the application, 3 words that describe you, whatever it is. Put all of that in a single document per college. So I'll have one for Stanford. It's got every question for Stanford, even the little tiny ones, right? USC. One document for USC, even the 3 adjectives that describe you, right? All of those short takes, everything, boom. And I do this for every college. You want to make sure that you're getting that information, ideally either from the Common App itself or from the official website. Be careful if you're working through the Common App. I sometimes have students who will pull things from the Common App and they'll miss a section. There might be a short answer question section or something, or an additional information box or something that they're missing. So make sure you have everything there. Make sure you also know your word limits or your character limits. Really important as you write that you have those in mind because they come into play a lot. A lot of times you do not have as much space as you wish to write everything you want to write. And then it becomes a challenge of writing 300 words and then finding a way to make that 200 words, etc. And being creative as a writer to do that. But make those Google documents and then you can start to churn through those essays. So that's step 4 is write your essays. How much time do you need for your essays? My recommendation is probably about 3 hours to write a first draft of the Common App. And I would say 1 to 2 hours, probably around 2 hours I would budget for any other essays that are anywhere from about 200 words to 500 words, 1 to 2 hours each, depending on how quickly it comes to you. For rewrites, you also want to book time. So almost all of my students are doing at least 3 drafts of every essay, meaning they have a first draft, they have a second draft, and then they do a polish. Okay, with the Common App, sometimes it's up to 5 or 6. First draft, throw that out almost completely because it was really crappy and I was just unearthing all my memories. Outline and second draft, that's a real first draft, right? Then we have a real second draft. Then we're going to weave in another story, third draft. Then finally we get to a polish. So it's much more time consuming sometimes for that common application essay. So make sure you put in your calendar multiple drafts. I recommend putting in at least 4 calendar time slots to work on your Common App and at least 3 calendar time slots for every other essay. Again, I recommend at least like 1 to 2 hours for that first draft of a 250 to 500 word essay. And then subsequently, you want 30 minutes to an hour for each revision. So start to map it out and figure out all the essays you have to write and start to stick all of that time in your calendar, Saturday mornings, Sunday evenings, wherever you're going to write these, calendar it out, guys, and make sure you reserve that time so you have the time to write. The biggest mistake that I find students make when it comes to writing their essays is they don't write. They worry. They spend too much time worrying, thinking, I need to brainstorm. I have so many kids that come to me and they're like, can you help me brainstorm? I'm like, no, you have to brainstorm, but I can help you look through your brainstorming. I can help you look through your drafts and make decisions. But you have to do the unearthing. It's your brain, it's your mind. You've got to dig everything up and do the work, right? So if you're not sure about something, just start writing and see where it goes and step back and look at what you've written and block off the time. And there's also no rule that says you have to do the Common App first and the supplements second. You can do it in either order, especially if you're feeling writer's block or stuck. And sometimes the supplements are easier to write first. But above all, write. Don't be afraid. Step 5 is give feedback and edit. So you're going to be editing your essays and you need to find someone to read your essays. I don't care who you are. I realize that not everybody can afford a private essay coach, and that's fine. We do have them if you're looking for one, and I am one. But libraries often have open tutoring or open college essay workshops. Your aunt, your uncle, your cousin, your mom, your dad, your older sister, family members of some sort, your English teacher, someone else you know. Grammarly Pro, worst case scenario, should at least be reading your essays, but ideally another human being. And that human being doesn't have to be a genius. You can do human being who's not a genius plus Grammarly Pro. Why do you need someone to read your essays? Sometimes Students write in ways that are confusing. Sometimes people won't even know what you're talking about, right? Those kind of issues anybody can catch, even if they're not a professional writer. They're going to be like, what does this mean? I don't understand what's going on. What is this mystery you're building, right? And you're going to get feedback so that you realize that, oh, wait, I was trying to be mysterious, but actually I was just being confusing, right? So really important that other eyes read your essay in some way. A human being ideally, not just ChatGPT or Grammarly Pro. But worst case scenario, like I said, if you feel like the people in your life do not have grammar experience, then Grammarly Pro plus them, probably a good move. But get feedback and edit. And as you edit your essays, remember to take a critical eye. And it is normal to reduce the size of your essay by at least 20%. I would say all the best essays are always overwriting and getting cut down because we naturally write in a pithier way than necessary. So plan to overwrite and cut down. That's usually the way to write the best essays. Number 6, I want you to make a list of activities in Google Docs and paste them into the Common App later. So when it comes to your activities in a Word section, really important that you write them in a Google Doc or a document word processor that is not the Common App. I've heard horror stories of people typing into that straight. Don't do that. And you want to try to get those together too. Again, something to add to your calendar. Find the days when you have time to do it. It probably will take you at least 2 hours to do all this, maybe 4, depending on how many activities you have and how complicated it is, to boil them down into something shorter. If you run out of space, you always have the additional information section where you can bleed into and add additional details if you need it. Position leadership description is 50 characters, organization names 100 characters, and you get 150 characters for your activity description. So use it wisely, be consistent. Number 7 is print it out and proofread it. So before you click go and pay the money and do all that, make sure you proofread your application. I suggest printing it out physically and then going through with a marker. Ideally, you read it and somebody else reads it. And finally, 8 is financial aid documentation. Worry about getting all of this other stuff done first, or at least the first round of applications. A lot of applications then are going to be due early January. But again, I recommend focusing on the application first and the financial documents second. You can also sometimes get your parents to help with those financial documents because they have to fill out all their tax information anyway. A lot of times that's not the students unless you're a non-traditional student. And that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it gave you a little bit of inspiration for getting on your calendar right now and writing down deadlines and writing down goals. Good luck with this process. Be sure to stay tuned to our channel because we have lots of tips for all of the things that you're doing right now. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you soon.